Let's real quick though. Let's check in your colleague Jason Rosenbaum. We're going to come back to you in just a second because you were at the RNC.
Right.
Jason though is at the DNC. We checked in with him a little bit earlier. Here's Jason's Missouri report from the Democratic National Convention.
So my first takeaway from the Democratic National Convention is there are a lot of people covering the Democratic National Convention from the media. My second takeaway is that there aren't that many people covering the Missouri delegation. Me and the Kansas City Star were often the only media people in the room when we had these breakfasts. And by comparison, Illinois, which is a much larger state, often had 15, 20, 25 people surrounding them at certain points. So I don't know whether that means that Missouri is just not as critical in the presidential race as others, or it may just be that maybe people don't see covering these conventions as worthwhile anymore because the outcome really isn't in doubt. The third takeaway that I've had is that the Missouri delegation, which was split evenly between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, I think got along really well. I think many of the Bernie Sanders delegates from Missouri are a very pragmatic sort. They are obviously disappointed in the result, some more so than others. But I think that many of them are harnessing their energy to work for state and local candidates throughout Missouri. And they really feel like the movement that Bernie Sanders started was more than just about a man and more than just about one candidate. It's about his ideas.
Joe, what was the coverage like for Missouri at the Republican National Convention?
Well, it was the same way. I mean, unfortunately, in Missouri, most of the news outlets didn't send anybody. So it was just me, somebody from the Star, and then there was a reporter from Gannett who was covering Missouri and a couple other states. So she was floating in and out.
Is that a commentary on the state of journalism, or does that just mean we're not that relevant?
Well, I think it's more of a commentary on the state of journalism. Although, as far as Missouri being relevant, Missouri hasn't gone for a Democratic candidate for president since 1996. That was Bill Clinton. It was close in 2000, and close in 2008, but still, it's gone with a Republican ever since. The Democrats have figured out how to win the White House without us. So they don't need Missouri anymore to win the White House. The Republicans figure, well, if the Democrats aren't campaigning there and we're going to get them, why should we waste money here? So there's a lot of thought, in fact, in Cleveland, at our breakfast, because the breakfasts are where all the big name comes in and talk and all that. The general consensus was that Missouri may not see that much of either presidential candidate because, for the reasons I just said, which means that right now some of the polls, however good they are or not, show Trump with a lead. If Trump has a large lead in Missouri, there is a feeling that could have a trickle-down effect and help the Republicans further down the ticket. So there is some pressure to either get Hillary or surrogates or whatever to do some campaigning here so that at the top it's close enough that it doesn't trickle down and affect the other statewide candidates on the ballot.
I think I go back to you asked about the Attorney General race and what happens with, the Democrat against whoever the Republican ends up being. And I think all of those Democrats in particular, from Attorney General on down, are hoping that Hillary Clinton decides to make Missouri competitive. One of the reasons that Missouri in the last few years or the last few cycles hasn't been particularly competitive. We lost an electoral seat because of our population. And then our two big population bases are on the border. And so when you spend TV money, all those TV ads you're seeing, when you spend TV money in St. Louis and Kansas City, much of it is wasted in that you're getting Illinois viewers or you're getting Kansas viewers. And those
where
who
the
watch
outcomes are more solidified.
Right. Well, and when you're watching TV in St. Louis, for instance, you'll often see political ads for Illinois people, and you're like, why am I seeing that? Well, it's because of the way our TV markets work. And so, when you're pinching pennies at that national level, when the race is getting close at the end, you look at Missouri and say, it's not an efficient use of my TV money.